welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different, really special, actually.
Yeah, it really is.
As, many listeners know, we both have a personal connection, a long one with Lorenzo.
Mm.
And if you're maybe new here, Lorenzo is just this incredible astrologer, tarot reader. I mean, honestly, a prophet in our eyes. His insights have just consistently blown us away.
Totally. And so today, we're not analyzing articles or studies like usual. We have Lorenzo's complete entire forecast for Capricorn for May 2025.
Exactly. And we felt it was so important, given, our belief in his work, to deliver this verbatim, like word for word.
No summarizing, no filtering, just Lorenzo's profound perspective exactly as he gave it to us. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. And this isn't just like fortune telling. It's his deep read on the energies for Capricorns next May. The main theme he identified, it's intense, the collapse of control. Capricorn's soul breaks through the illusion of stability and rebuilds on sacred purpose.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big one, especially for Capricorn.
Right. And knowing Lorenzo, how accurate he always is, you just know this is significant.
He sets the stage immediately, too. He says, May 2025 demands, quote, aliveness, not your structure. It's about stopping what he calls performing survival and really starting to embody truth.
Performing survival.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hits.
And he adds, kind of ominously, but also, classic Lorenzo, that if you don't make this shift willingly, well, the cosmos might just give you a nudge. Or maybe a shove.
Yeah, a cosmic intervention. So let's get into it. Week 1.
Week 1, April 28, May 5, the system cracks, the heart exposes.
Okay, so Lorenzo starts right at the end of April, really, with the new moon in Taurus on the 28th. And that's in the 5th house for Capricorns.
Right, the 5th house, that's usually about, creativity, joy, self-expression, even romance and kids. Fun stuff, but maybe stuff Capricorn sometimes puts on the back burner.
Could be.
Yeah.
And this new moon isn't just sitting there quietly, is it? Lorenzo points out some pretty tense aspects.
Yeah, definitely tense. It's squaring Mars in Leo, which is in the 8th house.
Okay, so squares mean friction, challenges, right? And Mars in the 8th. That sounds intense. Hidden depths, power, maybe sexuality.
Exactly. Lorenzo interprets this as, suppressed desires, maybe some real sexual intensity boiling up that hasn't been acknowledged, stuff pushed down.
Wow. Okay. And there's more.
It also squares Pluto in Aquarius in the 2nd house.
Pluto. Deep transformation. And the 2nd house is about values, self-worth, money. So a crisis there.
That's how Lorenzo puts it, yeah. A value crisis. Your whole sense of personal worth is kind of under the microscope. Big questions about what really matters.
Heavy stuff. And one more square.
Yeah, to Lilith and Scorpio in the 11th house.
Lilith, the wild, untamed part.
Yeah.
Right. And the 11th is groups, friends, networks.
Right. So Lorenzo sees this as maybe feeling rejected by a group, feeling like you don't fit in, like the misfit, but also maybe the surge of defiant creativity comes out of that, standing your ground.
So with all these squares happening, it's not exactly a gentle start to the month.
No, not at all. Lorenzo's take is very clear. This is a soul quake, not a fresh start.
A soul quake. That says it all.
Yeah. He talks about Capricorns outgrowing these roles they've played for so long, the provider, the protector, the one who has to be perfect all the time.
Letting go of those masks.
Exactly. And the demand now, he says, is for raw creativity, for taking joyful risks, really stepping into your own embodied power. It's not about tinkering around the edges.
It sounds like a call to be more real, more vulnerable maybe.
I think so. And then to cap off this intense first week, Pluto stations retrograde on May 5th.
Ah, Pluto retrograde. Time for deep inner digging.
Totally. Lorenzo says this triggers a deep review of identity, specifically around money, your worth, how you possess yourself, basically.
And he poses those killer questions he's so good at.
Oh, yeah. Are you earning from fear?
Oh.
And are you performing success while rotting inside? Just wow, direct hit.
He doesn't pull punches, does he? That's why we trust his insights so much, I think. It's uncomfortable, but true.
Yeah, absolutely. And he follows that with a really stark warning. He says, quoting Lorenzo again, if the foundation was built on pressure, it's not stability, it's a slow implosion.
So any sense of security that's built on just grinding and pressure, it's basically doomed.
That's the message. It's unsustainable. It needs to come from within, from alignment.
Okay, intense first week. What about week 2? May 6, 13. The emotional blueprint rewrites itself. Sounds like things shift inward.
Yeah, more focus on the emotional and communication side of things.
Yes.
Lorenzo points to Mercury, which is also in Taurus, in that fifth house of self-expression.
Right.
And on May 12th, it squares Pluto.
Another square to Pluto.
Yeah.
So communication challenges related to those deep value questions.
Exactly. Lorenzo calls it a crisis of self-expression. And again, those probing questions. Do you speak your truth or sell your soul?
Wow.
Do you stay predictable or shock them with your radiance? It's like the time for playing small is over.
You can't keep pretending anymore.
Pretty much. And then the big event of the week is the full moon in Scorpio, back in that 11th house on May 13th.
Okay, full moon culmination, release.
Yeah.
11 house groups, belonging. Scorpio deep, intense emotions. This sounds significant.
Very. And it has some interesting aspects. It trines Saturn and the North Node in Pisces in the third house.
Trine is usually harmonious, right?
there.
So maybe some supportive structure, a faded communication coming in. Third house is communication.
Could be. But it also opposes Uranus in Taurus back in the fifth.
Opposition, tension, pull. Uranus is surprises, breakthroughs. So a clash between belonging and individual creative freedom.
That fits Lorenzo's interpretation perfectly. He calls this full moon the death of false belonging.
The death of false belonging. Powerful.
And the collapse of a role you played to be liked, accepted, respected. It's about shedding those skins you wore just to fit in.
It takes courage to do that.
Absolutely. And Lorenzo puts it so starkly. The call is to exile yourself from your own self-denial.
Exile yourself from your own
Yeah.
self-denial. It's like you have to consciously choose to stop lying to yourself.
Exactly. It's about radical honesty, radical authenticity, which, knowing Lorenzo's work, is always a core theme. This week is about facing those emotional patterns.
Okay, so we've had the system cracking, the emotional blueprint rewriting.
Yeah.
What happens at week 3? May 14-20. The internal authority takes the throne. Sounds like a power shift.
It does feel like a turning point. Lorenzo highlights May 17th when the sun meets up with Uranus in Taurus, still in that fifth house.
Sun conjunct Uranus, amplifying that unpredictable, innovative energy in creativity and self-expression.
Yes. He calls it a potential creative awakening or emotional rupture. Could be sudden, like a lightning bolt. He even mentions, a sudden love affair starting or a big project kicking off or just a deep desire surging up unexpectedly.
So embracing the unexpected, maybe.
Definitely. And Lorenzo emphasizes this key shift, moving from being serious, that classic Capricorn trait, to being sovereign.
Serious to sovereign, I like that. It's not about losing responsibility, but about where your authority comes from.
Exactly. From inside, not from external rules or expectations. It's a theme Lorenzo often revisits, that inner authority piece.
Makes sense. And the week ends with another shift.
Yeah, on May 20th, the sun moves into Gemini, into the sixth house.
Sixth house, daily routines, work, health, service.
Right. And it makes a nice sextile that's a helpful aspect to Saturn, which is now in Aries. Lorenzo sees this as the beginning of the rebuilding phase.
Okay, rebuilding after the soul quake.
But, and this is key for Lorenzo, it's rebuilding on a totally new foundation. He says, this time, your structure serves your essence, not your ego.
So the why behind the structure changes completely. It's supporting your true self,
Yeah.
not just like building an impressive facade.
Precisely, the motivation's different. And he says, your daily life transforms, not with effort, but with alignment. It flows naturally when it's right.
Less grind, more flow, if it's aligned.
That's the idea.
Okay, which leads us into week 4. May 21-27, your work becomes your transmission. This sounds really profound for the sixth house themes.
It really does. Lorenzo points out the sun and Mercury are both in Gemini, in that sixth house of work and daily life, and they're making supportive aspects sextiles to Saturn and Neptune over in Aries in the fourth house.
Fourth house is home, roots, inner foundation.
Right. And also another flowing aspect to Pluto in Aquarius in the second house of values. So work, home, values, all starting to connect in a new way.
And how does Lorenzo frame this, work as transmission?
He calls it work as priesthood.
Whoa.
Yeah. He says you are no longer just solving problems. You are channeling meaning, embodying purpose, becoming sacred service.
So whatever you do, whether you're like an artist or an accountant, it becomes infused with your soul's purpose.
That's exactly it. It's about bringing your whole self, your essence, into your daily tasks. Lorenzo's way of seeing these connections is just unique.
It really elevates the idea of work, and he gets quite direct about what doesn't fit anymore.
Oh, yeah. Very clear. No more tolerating dead jobs, hollow tasks, fake clients, or toxic colleagues.
Cutting out the energetic drains.
He calls it a spiritual upgrade of your whole system. It's not optional anymore. It's necessary for your well-being.
A complete realignment of your professional world, based on soul, not just survival.
You got it.
Okay. Bringing us to the final days, May 28, 31. The rebirth of meaningful labor, sacred structure, soul integrity. This feels like where it all comes together.
It really does. Lorenzo focuses on the new moon in Gemini, again in the 6th house on May 28th. It's right next to Mercury.
New moon, new beginnings in work, routine, service, conjunct Mercury, emphasizing communication and ideas there.
And it's making all those helpful aspects again, sextile Saturn and Neptune, trine Pluto. It's like the energy is really supporting this new direction.
So what's Lorenzo's take on this new moon?
He says this is the point where you stop surviving and start serving from sovereignty.
Serving from sovereignty, not just serving, but doing it from that place of inner authority.
Exactly. And he clarifies what this isn't. Not people-pleasing, not exhaustion, not trauma response routine.
Getting rid of those old ingrained Capricorn patterns of just pushing through.
Yes. He stresses that this new way of working, this new structure, is healing, liberating, and lasting. It comes from a true place.
Sustainable because it's authentic.
Right. And then one final marker. Sun conjunct Mercury on May 30th. Lorenzo calls this a divine decision.
A moment of clarity, a time to act.
Definitely act. He urges, say the words, write the vision, start the contract. It's time to commit to this new path.
Like signing the agreement with yourself, with the universe?
He literally says you're writing a new role for yourself. One you authored, not one assigned to you.
Okay, that covers the timeline. But Lorenzo always has these deeper layers. He includes this section, the wow moment other astrologers missed. Knowing him, this is going to be good.
Oh, absolutely. He says, most astrology will talk about Capricorn restructuring, changing jobs, the practical stuff in May 2025, which is true, but
it misses the core issue.
Exactly. He says they miss the deeper fear. And here it is, direct quote. You don't fear failure, you fear freedom.
Wow. Okay, hang on. Capricorns fear freedom, not failure.
That's what Lorenzo says. Because, he continues, because once you're free, there's no one else to blame for your power.
Oh my God, that completely flips the script. The burden isn't striving, it's the responsibility of your own power once you're truly free from external constraints.
Mind-blowing, right? That's Lorenzo. He just sees these things others don't.
It explains so much about that feeling of being trapped even when successful.
And he links this directly to Saturn moving into the 4th house on May 26th. He calls it your soul's ancestral reset.
Ancestral reset, breaking family patterns.
Big time, he says. You are no longer the product of your family's fear. You are the architect of a legacy they couldn't imagine.
Chills. Building something entirely new, free from inherited limitations.
Exactly.
Lorenzo also pulls out some key quotes that just crystallize the whole month. We should definitely share those.
Yeah, they're so potent. First one. May 2025, Capricorn stops climbing and starts creating.
Simple, powerful. Shift from ambition defined by others to self-defined creation.
Then, your schedule is your altar now. What you do daily must reflect your soul.
Making the mundane sacred. Elevating the 6th house. Love that.
This one's huge. You weren't born to build safety. You were born to build something sacred.
Directly challenges that core Capricorn drive for security above all else, shifts it to purpose.
And if it doesn't light you up, it's not your real work anymore.
A clear litmus test. Is there joy? Is there soul fire? If not, it's time to reassess.
And the summary quote, Capricorn's new ambition is alignment.
That says it all, really. The whole forecast boils down to that shift. Alignment is the new peak to climb.
These quotes are just pure Lorenzo. So insightful.
Okay, but wait, there's another wow moment section. He really wants to hammer this home. May 2025 is the collapse of Capricorn's ancestral obedience.
Yeah, he emphasizes this isn't just like a tough month. He calls it the most critical karmic collapse in Capricorn's psychic lineage in over a decade.
Whoa, karmic collapse. Psychic lineage. That's deep ancestral stuff.
It's super deep. He says, forget the surface, talk about productivity. The real, devastating, precise, soul-level truth is this. You are standing in the ruins of a life you built to survive someone else's expectations.
Standing in the ruins. Realizing the whole structure was built for someone else's approval or safety, not your own soul. That's heavy.
It's confronting, for sure, but necessary, according to Lorenzo.
And he digs into the astrology most ignored to explain this further.
Yes, he comes back to Lilith in the 11th, squaring the new moon in the 5th, and Pluto in the 2nd. He says this configuration exposes a long-hidden wound.
What's the wound?
Quoting again, you betrayed your desires so you could belong. You monetized your talent instead of embodying your joy. You clung to duty while your creative soul dried out in silence.
Oh, man. Selling out your joy for acceptance or security? Using your gifts just for money, not fulfillment. Prioritizing duty over your own creative life force. That's
Yep.
painful to hear, but probably resonates for many.
I think so. And Lorenzo warns the consequences are becoming unavoidable now. You can't hide behind responsibility anymore because your health, your finances, your self-worth, they'll start screaming the truth of this self-betrayal.
Wow. The body and the bank account keep score.
Seems like it. Which leads to what he calls the core initiation.
And that links back to Saturn entering the fourth house on May 26th.
Exactly. He calls that the true earthquake. More than just home or family stuff in the usual sense.
So what's the deeper meaning of Saturn in the fourth here?
Lorenzo says it forces you to confront these deeply buried childhood contracts, unconscious vows you made,
Like what?
if I stay silent, I'll stay safe, or if I'm strong, I'll be loved, or if I carry it all, they won't fall apart.
Oh, wow. Those foundational beliefs that dictate so much behavior, often totally unconsciously. The good child, the strong one, the responsible one.
Exactly. Those roles we take on. But Saturn, Lorenzo says, is impatient now. The message is blunt. Break the ancestral spell or it will bury you under your own legacy.
Break the spell or be buried by it. That's intense. No more playing by the old family rules.
It's what he calls soul accountability. You can't keep serving a system, even a family system, that starved your own soul. The time for that is over.
So how do you actually do that? Break the spell.
Lorenzo points to the cosmic trigger, that new moon in Gemini in the 6th on May 28th, with all its helpful aspects, trine Pluto, sextile Saturn, Neptune. He calls it an energetic audit.
An audit. Okay. How to go through the book.
Yeah, and he gives these 3 powerful directives. First, burn every trauma-coded routine.
Get rid of habits born out of past pain or fear.
Second, end every piece of labor not honoring your divinity.
Stop doing work, paid or unpaid, that feels soul-crushing or beneath you.
And third, excise every inherited belief about hard work and success.
Question those ingrained family or societal messages about what it means to work hard or be successful, especially if they're toxic.
It's a total clearing out, and he emphasizes this isn't just about changing your job description.
Right, it's deeper.
It's about, and this is another amazing quote, it's about finally being allowed to be a person, not a provider, to be art, not armor, to be witnessed, not just needed.
Oh, wow. To be valued for being, not just doing.
Yeah.
To be seen for your essence, not just your function. That's incredibly profound, especially for Capricorn.
It really is a fundamental shift in identity.
And Lorenzo wraps it all up with one final mic drop line.
He does. It perfectly encapsulates the entire message. Capricorn's Great Rebellion in May 2025 isn't against others. It's against the ghost of who you were told you had to be.
Against the ghost.
Hmm.
The internalized expectations, the old roles, the ancestral patterns. The rebellion is internal. Wow.
Powerful, isn't it? Just pure Lorenzo insight.
Absolutely. So that was it. Lorenzo's full verbatim forecast for Capricorn, May 2025. It's a lot to take in. So much depth there. Knowing his track record, this feels like a truly crucial map for Capricorns navigating that time.
Definitely. And as you've been listening, whether you're a Capricorn or no one, maybe just reflect on how these themes, these intense energies Lorenzo described, resonate with you.
Yeah, that idea of the collapse of control, moving from structure to aliveness, from performing survival to embodying truth. It's huge.
Then maybe sit with that final thought Lorenzo left us with. What is that ghost of who you were told you had to be in your own life?
Right. And what would it really feel like? What would it mean to truly rebel against it and claim that freedom he talks about?
Definitely something to ponder. A lot of rich material for reflection there, thanks to Lorenzo's incredible perspective.
Could agree more. Take time with this one. It feels important.